Hello and welcome to another Fan Zone session. Hopefully we are, if technology is working, we are going live on social media as well, on Facebook. So anyone watching, if you have any questions that you want to send in, make sure you send them in. And I have my iPad here, so hopefully it will all work. Because remember, we are in the middle of a field here. But hopefully it will all work and I will be able to ask some questions. And our guest today, as always, I'm joined by Bobby Hayler. But our guest today, who's looking very nervous, Steph Sharples, groom for Gareth Hughes for 18 years. I'm so excited to have you in the Fan Zone because, let's face it, these guys would not be able to do anything if it wasn't for people like you behind the scenes working really, really hard. So first of all, huge congratulations on recent successes for Team Hughes. And I know that a lot of it is down to you and your hard work. But I'm just going to get straight on in there. What a year you have had. Does it feel real? Do you even know what country you're in right now?
It's been an amazing year, absolutely amazing. And just to be going from one country to a next, to another show, and just being with the horses, it's great experience.
And I know, like, Bobby has got so many questions for you about travelling again, but I'm gonna hold her off for a second and talk a little bit about your background because I do a lot of instructing myself, and I spend my life when kids come up to me going, "What's my career?" And you know they're not going to make it as a rider, and sometimes you have to kind of shatter their dreams. And I'm like, be a groom. You travel the world. You get to live and breathe horses, and I have so much respect for your profession. Like, an unbelievable. You are the unsung heroes of the sport. But more and more now, you guys are getting the recognition you deserve. 15 years old, you walked onto Gareth Hughes' yard. You've been there 18 years. Tell us a little bit about your journey with Gareth and being a groom for him.
The journey's been absolutely amazing. So from starting off as sort of 15, I think I was coming close to 16, leaving school and having a proper job. It was very scary and very daunting, but I've been so lucky throughout all the years to have such wonderful horses to look after that they become like your own horses. And, you know, Gareth and Rebecca and now Ruby, they're just absolutely amazing, brilliant people to be around. And it's just nice to be looked after whilst doing a job that you love.
And 18 years is a long time. I mean, that's a marriage almost. You get less for murder, I think. But that just shows, that's credit to the Team Hughes, isn't it? Yes. That you just love it there. Yes. I mean, I've been to the yard many a time, and then seeing Ruby especially coming through like that, like she is at the moment.
Absolutely.
I mean, that must be almost emotional seeing her out there riding.
It is, absolutely. And for me, one of the nicest things is I actually drove Rebecca to the hospital when she was in labour, and we met Gareth at the hospital. So I feel like I've had a little bit of a part of helping to bring her into the world.
Amazing. And obviously the horses as well. They become your family as well. And Santano that went to the Olympics, let's find out a little bit more about him because for many of us, obviously with COVID and no competitions, we're a bit like, Gareth, who is this horse? Yes. For those who don't follow dressage every single test, it was a bit like, okay, right. And so we haven't really had a chance. I've not had a chance to meet him on the yard. Normally we'd be doing loads of interviews, all this stuff. So I feel like we don't really know him. Tell us a bit about him.
So we nickname him at home Piglet. He likes his food. We haven't found anything yet that he doesn't like, so that's why he's called Piglet. And he's just a great character. He's always happy. He always wants human contact. He loves his job. So it's just a pleasure to go anywhere with him. Absolute pleasure.
And then obviously Olympics. I'm going to hand over to Bobby in a second, but when you guys got that notification, travelling reserve, you had to go. Was it hard to get into that mindset that even though you had to go as travelling reserve, that you had to be ready and you had to be on the ball? Because at any point in time before the special, you could be right. You are in that arena. So was that, was it strange going in that position, or was it just as exciting? How was that?
I think it took a little bit of sort of time to get ourselves ready, but once you are there and you're there at the venue and you've got the amazing facilities, you just get into the zone, and it is really just as if you are going to go into that arena. And like you say, it's just literally being ready at any moment. And we had such a great team. I'm really good friends with them. So, you know, it was great fun that we all supported each other and we were all there ready should we have been needed.
How nerve-wracking was getting ready for that trot up?
Very.
And Bobby, obviously you've got many a horse ready for many top competitions, but I mean, Steph is just so crucial, isn't she, to any team performance and success?
Absolutely. And Steph, there's only a handful of people in the world that's ever gone to an Olympics. And so just for myself and everyone here and everyone at home, what was it like? Like, what was the experience like?
It was incredible. So it was a little bit different because of COVID. So there wasn't as much socialising or going off and exploring, but the facilities that we had for the horses, as well as us, were just right up there. It was incredible. And it was my first Olympic Games. So it was, although it was a little bit different, it was still very exciting to actually think that we've made it to an Olympics.
Absolutely. And just talk us through, I don't know, one of the daily routines there. You know, what time did you start and what happened during the day and what happened in the evening? Yeah.
So we would normally start somewhere around 6:30 a.m. We would feed, pay, muck out, get the horse ready, you know, comfortable. Then we would normally go for a walk or a hand graze, unless the riders were coming to ride early. We tended to find that anywhere between 11 and midday, it was getting too hot to be outside. And then 4 o'clock in the afternoon, on most days, you could then venture back outside. So that middle part between midday and 3:30, 4 p.m., the horses were just inside in the stables, air conditioning, and that was when they had their chill time.
Their siesta,
yes.
basically.
Yes, and so did we.
And there's nothing wrong with that. So obviously it's a big thing for the horses to come from England, where 99% of the time it's raining, to suddenly being in such heat. How did they adapt to it?
They all adapted amazingly well. And I think it was all down to the preparation as to when we chose to go out, that we would, you know, not go out in the blazing heat, and the aggressive cooling that we did after the horses had worked, that really got the body temperatures back down as quick as we could, so that they actually were still feeling very well and good in themselves.
Brilliant. And is there a memorable moment at all that you've taken away the most from that experience?
I think all of it, really. I think, you know, and again, because I'm very good friends with the other grooms, it was amazing to be with your friends and to be sharing that experience. And I think just all of it is something to remember, because it's not something that you're going to do all the time. And, you know, we all hope that we'll get to go again, but yeah, if that is the only time you go, you know, it's taking every part of it.
Definitely. And obviously there's an Olympics and a European in the same year. So
yes.
What happened? Talk us through a little bit, that lull moment from all of a sudden you're at the Olympics and then there's only a couple of weeks, which has never happened in history, to be then at the Europeans.
Absolutely.
What happened in that time?
So we came home. Piglet had...
It's great.
He had a week off of just being completely in the field, just sort of being a horse again. And it gave us a couple of days to sort of take a breath and actually, I think, absorb what we've just done. And then it was right back onto it. You've now got to start preparing for the next championships, which Sintano, or Piglet, travelled back so well that after a week he's bouncing around his field. So then he had nice, easy time for another week of just coming in and doing stretching and a little bit of hacking. And then Gareth had to get back on board to start schooling him again.
And of course it was a little bit different, wasn't it, at the Europeans and the Olympics, because Gareth was actually going down that centre line. So from your sort of job role, what did you have to do differently? What did you have to plan differently?
To be honest, there wasn't a huge amount other than trying to control the butterflies when you're actually walking to the arena, you know, the day of competition. That was obviously the one bit that we didn't do in Tokyo. So it's that nice feeling of you're walking to the arena and Piglet and Gareth are all dressed, ready to go, and it's like, we're actually going to do this. We're actually going to compete this time. But I think everything else was actually the same because we just had to be so ready and so on standby. So yeah, there wasn't too many differences.
And do you get very, very nervous when Gareth goes down the centre line? What's your thoughts when you're watching him?
Yes. I just hoping that everything's okay. You know, the atmosphere in those arenas are so big, and for Piglet, he hasn't really seen an awful lot. So it was just hoping that he was going to go in and not get scared. And, you know, and he was very good and listened to Gareth. So Gareth could hold his hand and get him safely around the arena.
And he very much did that, didn't he? It was absolutely amazing.
Yes.
And before I pass over back to Jenny, I just have one more question. So because obviously there's so many younger generations now coming through, wanting to work with horses, what would be a piece of advice that you would give them all?
Work hard and keep going. If you hit a hurdle, just keep going, and it's not an easy job at all. It's a lot of long hours. In the winter, it's cold, miserable. But if you love it and that's what you want to do, keep going, because then you get to have some amazing experiences, like I've had 2 this year, that you will treasure forever.
Yeah, and you've proven that 18 long years being with one person, sticking through all the hard times, and you've just done a European and an Olympics. Yeah. So absolutely amazing.
It is amazing. And we've got loads of people watching on Facebook. Give shouts out to, there's Kathleen Trigg and Tracy Dixon and Laura Kelly. Hi, people all watching on Facebook. Send in any likes or comments that you have for Steph. And we also have to mention, sit next to you, don't worry, Steph doesn't just bring pets with her wherever she goes. These little donkeys are from the Brook, a very important charity. And so they're very cute. And I want to steal one, but I think you have to buy them. So anyone who wants a donkey, you can go and purchase those. But Steph, like we're saying, now we're at the Nationals. First of all, the one thing about going to the Nationals when it was at Stoneleigh was we knew where everything was.
Yes.
And then you've turned up here. But it is a fantastic venue. But has that been one thing we've had to cope with over the last 2 days, like where everything is?
I think we've done quite well, actually, and we're lucky that we know all the lovely stewards, so they've helped us, they've guided us. So with having competed here previously for the Premier Leagues, we've got a little idea of where some things are. But no, and I think they've done a fabulous job. Fabulous job.
It does. It looks amazing. And tell us a little bit about the horses that you've got here at the Nationals. So anyone watching, if you want to come down, get involved, get watching. There's just a plethora. It's the best of the best, isn't it? Absolutely,
absolutely. So for myself, we've got 6 horses. So there's two rides for Gareth.
That's where you took a breath then, yeah. We've got 6. Let me just make sure they're all accounted for. Yeah.
So Gareth has 2 rides, a Grand Prix and a PSG and into one. Rebecca has a PSG and into one horse. And then Ruby Hughes has the other 3.
Wowza, she's got the most here. Amazing.
She's got more than Mummy and Daddy.
I love it. I love it. And obviously Ruby's been doing the vaulting. Have you had anything to do with the vaulting horses? Because they are just amazing, aren't they?
They are. So I haven't had anything to do with them other than being a spectator and standing there very nervously when there's 3, 4 or 5 children on the back and doing somersaults. And, so at that point I sort of some points have to look away.
Take a breath and hope there's 3 or 4 or 5 children at the end of it as well. And just finally, I mean, the kit you get being on teams. I noticed you're wearing the Great Britain T-shirt.
Yes.
With the Olympics and the Europeans, I love a bit of kit. I love it. Did you get all the kit, like the tracksuits, the trainers? Did you? Yes. Tell us a bit about that. I love that.
So it ranged from your T-shirts to sweatshirts to hoodie, zipper jackets, jogging bottoms, trainers, sunglasses, drinks bottles.
Amazing.
Everything. We literally got everything.
That's amazing. I love it. And what does the future? Are you sticking with Team? There's no big announcements. I've done Olympics and European, now I'm off. What's the plan for you? Is it sticking with Hughes aiming for Paris, I'm guessing, at some point?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we have the World Games in Denmark next year. So that will hopefully be another exciting exciting championships that hopefully we will get to go to. And yes, Paris. Let's see if we can make it Olympics #2.
Just amazing. I mean, I love speaking to you. What you do is incredible. And I know that Gareth and Rebecca and Ruby just wouldn't be anywhere without you. Thank you so much for coming on this stage. I know you're a bit like, what am I doing with a microphone? Give it to Gareth. But I know Gareth's mum's over there, and she said she remembers when you walked onto the yard as a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
Honestly, absolutely amazing. I take my hat off to you. And thank you very much on behalf of Team GB for everything you did over the summer. And all the people watching, thanks for tuning in. Thank you so much for coming on the stage, and good luck for the rest of the Nationals. I know you've got a lot of work still to do.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.